The Compassion Revolution: How Recognizing Pain Creates Connection. Have you ever noticed how we're all walking around with invisible wounds? Some of us carry them like badges of honor, others hide them beneath carefully constructed masks of success. But they're there, always there. I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Sheila Nolan for the Pink Parachute Diaries podcast. Let me tell you, Sheila isn't just another voice in the crowded conversation about compassion. She's a force of nature who has fundamentally reshaped how we understand human connection. As a fierce advocate for Black women in professional spaces, Sheila has dedicated decades to creating environments where the overlooked become seen, where the silenced find voice, and where pain transforms into power. Her insights haven't just changed lives, they've saved them. What struck me most about my conversation with Sheila was her unwavering belief that recognition is the foundation of all meaningful human connection. Not the superficial kind of recognition where we nod and say, I hear you, while mentally composing our grocery lists, but the deep, soul level acknowledgement that says, I see your struggle and it matters. This isn't just feel good philosophy. This is survival. For Black women navigating professional spaces, being truly seen can be revolutionary. As Sheila eloquently explained, when we acknowledge the pain and challenges that others face, especially within the Black community, we create space for authentic relationships built on mutual respect. Let that sink in for a moment. Authentic relationships built on mutual respect, not performance reviews, not networking opportunities, not strategic alliances, human connection. But here's where it gets complicated. Recognition without action is just observation, and observation without engagement is just, well, watching people suffer. That's why Sheila's second insight resonated so deeply with me. And compassion in action transforms both individuals and communities. Small acts of kindness ripple outward. They create environments where people feel valued and empowered to achieve their potential. They change lives. I want to share with you three powerful stories that illustrate this principle in action. These aren't my stories. They belong to remarkable individuals who have generously shared their journeys. But they illuminate Sheila's wisdom in ways that theoretical discussions never could. Let's start with Sakina Hoffler, a writer and educator who has built her career on using creative expression to examine difficult realities while celebrating Black voices. As Sheila noted during our interview, Sakina's journey exemplifies both struggle and triumph. As a Black creative, Sakina faced the challenge of having her work recognized in an industry that has historically marginalized Black voices. She tackled difficult subject matter: grief, the experiences of Black Americans, the weight of systemic inequity, topics that make people uncomfortable, topics that many would prefer to ignore. But rather than compromising her authentic voice to make others comfortable, Sakina leaned in. She created work that, in her words, defamiliarizes reality to examine it more deeply. She used her craft to bring attention to important social issues, refusing to soften her message or dilute her truth. The result? Sakina has received significant recognition, including being named a 2024 NYC Forge Fellow and winning the 2024 Analog Award for Emerging Black Voices. Her poem, Grieve, Goddess Sings for the Black Sons of America, was published in Poetry International, and she recently received an offer on her debut novel. Through her creative work, Sakina has created spaces for difficult conversations about race and identity in America, demonstrating how art can be a vehicle for both acknowledging pain and fostering healing. This is what Sheila means when she talks about recognition leading to connection. By acknowledging difficult truths through her art, Sakina creates opportunities for others to recognize their own pain, and perhaps more importantly, to recognize the pain of communities they don't belong to. But recognition alone isn't enough. That's where our second story comes in. Ashley Sims is a storyteller and nonprofit leader who works to break down barriers for Black entrepreneurs in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the historic site of Black Wall Street. When Sheila shared Ashley's story with me, I was struck by how perfectly it illustrates compassion in action. Black entrepreneurs face significant obstacles in accessing capital, networks, and resources needed to build successful businesses. The historic destruction of Black Wall Street in the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre created generational trauma and economic setbacks that continue to reverberate today. Ashley could have simply acknowledged this pain. She could have documented it, written about it, created awareness campaigns, all valuable work. But she went further. Through her leadership at Build in Tulsa, Ashley has implemented comprehensive support systems, including training, coaching, and direct investment in Black owned businesses. Since launching operations just 2.5 years ago, Build in Tulsa has grown to include 400 entrepreneurs, facilitated more than 10,000 hours of training and coaching, and invested $10.5 million dollars with underrepresented founders. As Sheila emphasized in our conversation, Ashley's work is reclaiming the narrative that Black Wall Street is not a history lesson, but a blueprint. Her efforts are creating tangible economic opportunities while honoring the legacy of Black excellence in business. This is compassion with muscle. This is recognition that leads to action. This is what changes lives. But building a culture of respect isn't a one time act, it requires consistent, intentional effort. This brings me to Sheila's third insight. Building a culture of respect requires consistent, intentional effort. This means actively listening to others' experiences, validating their feelings, and adjusting our behaviors to ensure we're creating inclusive spaces. The third story Sheila shared with me illustrates this principle beautifully. Spike Spondike has forged a unique career path as a musician and designer, ultimately becoming a senior type designer at Monotype, a company recognized for its positive workplace culture. Creative professionals often face challenges finding environments where their diverse talents and perspectives are respected and valued. The design industry, like many creative fields, has historically lacked diversity. By embracing her authentic self as a musician, shipping container enthusiast, and all around creative soul, Spike created a distinctive professional identity that eventually led to her role at Monotype via Colophon Foundry. Spike now works at a company that has been recognized by the Boston Globe as one of the top places to work in Massachusetts, an honor voted on by employees themselves. Her journey wasn't linear. She explored various creative interests before finding her way to type design, demonstrating the value of following one's passions. What makes this story powerful is not just Spike's individual journey, but what it represents about creating environments where respect is the foundation. As Sheila pointed out, when organizations commit to creating cultures of respect, people can bring their whole selves to work. They can thrive rather than merely survive. These three stories, Sakina's creative resilience, Ashley's economic empowerment work, and Spike's journey to a respectful workplace, illustrate different facets of the same truth. Recognition and compassion change lives. But here's the question that keeps me up at night. How do we move from inspiration to action? How do we translate these powerful stories into meaningful change in our own spheres of influence? Sheila offered a powerful framework that she calls a compassion practice. It consists of four simple but transformative commitments. First, Take a moment each day to recognize someone else's challenges or accomplishments, not with empty platitudes, but with specific, thoughtful acknowledgement. Second, practice active listening without interruption when colleagues share their experiences. This means putting down your phone, turning away from your computer, and being fully present. Third, find one opportunity weekly to extend kindness or support to someone who might be struggling. This could be as simple as checking in with a colleague who seems overwhelmed or connecting someone to a resource they need. And fourth, create space in your organizations for honest conversations about respect and inclusion. This might be uncomfortable at first, but discomfort is often the price of growth. As Maya Angelou wisely said, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. When we but recognize others' pain and respond with compassion, we create feelings that endure. So here we stand at the crossroads of comfort and courage. We can continue to avert our eyes from pain, both our own and others, or we can look directly at it, acknowledge it, and respond with compassion that changes lives. The world doesn't need more observers. It needs participants. It needs people who see suffering and say, not on my watch. It needs people who understand that recognizing someone's pain isn't just polite, it's revolutionary. I challenge you today, be disruptive with your compassion, be radical with your recognition, be unapologetic in your commitment to seeing others fully, their struggles, their triumphs, their complete humanity. Because in a world where Black women and other marginalized people are systematically unseen, the simple act of truly seeing someone becomes an act of rebellion. And when that recognition is followed by compassionate action, it becomes nothing short of revolutionary. Start today, start now, look someone in the eye, see their pain, acknowledge their struggle, and then do something about it. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Not because it's comfortable, but because it's right. The compassion revolution doesn't require grand gestures. It requires consistent, intentional recognition followed by authentic action. It requires you, all of you, your attention, your empathy, your courage. As Sheila Nolan reminded us, our humanity is bound up in each other's. When I recognize your pain, I honor my own humanity. When I extend compassion to you, I heal myself as well. The revolution begins with recognition. It continues with action, and it transforms our world one human connection at a time. Will you join us?